Hello, everybody. Good to see you all again, and welcome to Arise. Arise with Sally Goodwin. I still have to get used to hearing that name over and over again. It's like, oh, yeah, that's my name. It's so good to see you all today. It's so good to be back here again with you. And thank you again just to everybody who watches me. I so appreciate your support. You know, I've got some amazing friends and family who always watch my recordings and just are so supportive and so loving. And it's amazing because sometimes, you know, you doubt or you worry or you think, did I say that right? Or should I have said that? Or, you know, am I hearing this correctly? And to just be surrounded by people who love you and who support you and who watch, you know, take the time out of their busy schedules to watch my recordings. I just really appreciate that. So you all know who you are. Thank you for that. And then to all the new friends that I've made through these recordings, the new ladies who have reached out to me, the new stories I've heard from new friends. I'm so excited to get to know new people, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you eventually one day in person. So, and then also just all of you who share my videos with, I know that I have some faithful people who watch my videos and then they share them with their own ministry groups and their own ladies groups. And I appreciate that. I really, really do. I just so appreciate people sharing these words from the Lord and just knowing that someone somewhere is being impacted because God ordained that that person would be impacted today by what He has given me to say. So we are still on this game-changing season word, and last week I spoke about key number 1. So we spoke about, if you've missed some of the other recordings, please go back and watch them because they are all kind of linked together. So if you miss one, you're going to miss a key or a section of the word that God had given me. But so he gave 8 keys basically for this game-changing season that we are in. We are actually in this season, but he did tell me that it was going to be a lengthy season. He didn't give me a time period, and God's times are just not always our times, you know. So, but I feel as though there's going to be ample opportunity for us as a body of believers to really be game changers at this moment in the world, wherever you may be. And as I said last time, in our incredible, amazing country of South Africa, we need game-changing believers. We need game-changing women to step up and step into everything God has for them. So last week we spoke about key number 1, which is the fact that the enemy always overplays his hand. So that was key number 1. And I'm trusting that you got to spend some time with the Lord and you got to see what God is showing you, what it is that you carry on your life, which if you've been feeling like the enemy has been throwing his toys at you, then that you get to see what it is that he's so scared of you stepping into, because God has such an incredible destiny for you. Key number 2 is stand firm. And basically that key comes from my own testimony, my own healing testimony that I shared with you all a while ago. When you have done everything you know to do, when you have been obedient in every way possible, when all you can do is stand firm. Stand on His promises, stand on His love, stand on His grace, and know that He will never leave you or forsake you. Ephesians 6 verse 13 from the Amplified Bible says, "Therefore, put on the complete armor of God, so that you will be able to successfully resist and stand your ground in the evil day of danger, and having done everything that the crisis demands, to stand firm in your place, fully prepared, immovable, victorious." Now, I have shared with you before, but in my journey to healing from the condition that I'd been diagnosed with, I had loads of people reaching out to me amazing. I mean, because people, are loving and supportive and they want to help and suggesting various things, suggesting I try this or try that or try the next thing. And from a diet perspective or an alternate medicine perspective or essential oils or all of those things, and people reached out to me and you'd let me know if they thought that they had something that they felt would impact my situation and I tried them. I honestly did. I can promise you that if you're one of those people who suggested something to me, I tried it. I was never like, oh no, I think, I have all the answers. I'm not going to try it. I tried. And from a spiritual perspective as well, if people questioned my faith, I went back to the Lord and checked with him, did I have faith? And as I've said to you before, there were days when I didn't have enough faith of my own. I had to hang on to Jesus' faith. I had to hang on to the faith of my hubby. Other people stood in faith for me because I didn't actually have the strength to stand in faith for myself. But if I felt like, if somebody suggested deliverance, I sorted that out. If it was inner healing, I sorted that out. Generational curses. I did whatever I could. I did everything that I felt might be standing in the way of my healing. And nothing changed significantly. I got a lot of great health advice and I also sorted my spirit and my heart and my soul and all of those things out. So that was all good. But in terms of my physical condition, nothing changed. And that was when God said to me, stand firm. Just stand firm. And human beings, particularly women, we doers. We like to be doing something. So we feel that if we're not actually doing something, we're not, like who wants to just stand? No, we want to advance. We want to move forward. We want to be, finding solutions. But sometimes all you can do in your circumstances is stand and stand firm. Put on the complete armor of God. And it says in that verse, in Ephesians 6, verse 13, it says that you will be able to successfully resist. Not just resist, but successfully resist. And stand your ground in the evil day of danger. So could we call this an evil day of danger? We absolutely could. Everything that's going on in the world? Yes. Okay. And I think that the evil days of danger are going to be always until the end comes, until Jesus comes again. So that's, not going to change. It's just going to be different things. And then it says, having done everything that the crisis demands. So what crisis are you facing? Be it the coronavirus, be it whatever the crisis that you're facing, if you have done everything that crisis demands, so you have successfully resisted, you're standing your ground in this evil day of danger, you have done everything that the crisis demands, you stand firm. It says stand firm in your place. So you're standing in your place, fully prepared, armored up, prepared, immovable. Immovable. But what does it say at the end there in the Amplified? I love the Amplified Bible. It's just amazing. The last word it says is victorious. In other words, even though you've done everything you can do, you've been obedient in every way possible, nothing has changed. You're standing firm. You stand firm, victorious, knowing that the battle has already been won. So you don't stand firm in desperation. You don't stand firm in chaos or in panic or in stress. You stand firm, victorious. And you look in the eye of whatever it is that's coming at you, and you say, I'm standing firm, victorious. I'm standing firm in a God who will never leave me nor forsake me. And those words kept me going a lot through my health struggles, that God will never leave me or forsake me. So hang on to that and stand firm in your place, immovable, fully prepared, victorious. And know that that is a key in this game-changing season, because as you step into everything God has called you to, as you step into that game-changing anointing, as you bring forth the game-changing solution or whatever it is that God has given you for this season, the enemy is going to throw some stuff at you. And you need to be able to stand firm in that time. Key number 3. And this is very important, particularly to all my precious, incredible, amazing women out there. Know that you are essential to the end time plan of God. Know that you are essential to the end time plan of God. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter how insignificant you might feel, you are a significant and essential part of God's end time plan. What does it say in the Word? Before the foundations of the earth were laid, God knew you. And He knew your name, when you would be born, where you would be born, the gifts and the callings and the anointings that He's placed on your life. He knew all of those things. He set you on this earth at this time for now. Just for that reason alone, you're not insignificant. Just for that reason alone, you have to know that you are essential. You're an essential part of His plan. And yes, sometimes God asks us to do something and we don't do it, and then God gets somebody else to do it. Absolutely. Sometimes if we don't step out in obedience to what He's called us to do, and it's something that needs to be done, He will ask other people to step in. I think it was Reinhard Bonnke who said that he was God's third choice, that God had asked 2 other men before him to do evangelical crusades in Africa, and they had both said no. And Reinhard Bonnke was God's third choice, and he went with it, and God had told him that. But there are also things that only you will do on this earth. There are things that won't be done because you didn't do what God had called you to do. And that's not a condemnation or a judgment or a criticism. Believe you me. Believe you me. There are times when I know God has asked me to do something and I've been like, and He said to me, do you know that like that situation will never be impacted like that because you weren't obedient? I have repented a lot for disobedience. And you know what they say, delayed obedience is the same as disobedience. Both. Like, honestly, so there's no judgment or criticism here. All I'm saying is that sometimes a situation is not impacted if you don't bring your bit to it. It's something may not change if you don't do what God has called you to do. And it may seem so insignificant to you. It may seem so insignificant to you. Like that's the video that I did on the Hebrew midwives in Exodus, choosing not to kill the Israelite baby boys as they were born. They didn't know that their names were going to be written into a story that would be read for thousands of years after they had died. They didn't know that that story would be recounted and passed down and written down and read in thousands of different languages by thousands of different billions of different people. They didn't know that. They just did what God had called them to do. If you think of Rahab, letting the Israelite spies down, she didn't know then that her name would be written in the Bible, that she would be part of the lineage of Jesus, that she didn't know any of that. All she knew was that was what she had to do in that moment. And sometimes we do things that we might not see the significance of while we're here on earth, but you will see the significance of it in eternity. You will see the significance of it in eternity, I guarantee you. So whoever you are, wherever you are, if you're a mom with littlies and you're stuck at home a whole lot, if you're a working mom, if you're a single woman, if you're a married woman, if you have children or you don't have children, if you in a relationship, but it doesn't matter. You are an essential part of God's end time plan. You need to walk in what God has called you to do. Do not compare your gift or calling to others. Don't compare what you carry to what somebody else carries. Walk in what God has called you to walk in. I often think about Mary and Elizabeth. Mary, here's Elizabeth, this older woman, been faithful to God for so many years, been barren for so many years, and she's given this promise of this baby. And here's this young girl, people think Mary was around 14, 15, and she's given this promise of this baby. And Elizabeth's baby is going to be John the Baptist. He's going to prepare the way for Mary's baby. He's going to be martyred, actually, John the Baptist. Only 6 months in ministry he served. And he was a Nazarite the rest of the time, and he lived in the desert and was set apart for God. So Elizabeth, and that was what was prophesied over John, so it wasn't like they didn't know that was who he would be. Elizabeth could have compared her calling to Mary's calling. Elizabeth could have compared what she was carrying to what Mary was carrying, and she could have been, why do I get to carry the one who prepares the way and she gets to carry the coming king? I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm more mature, I've walked for years with you, Lord. Her husband was a priest in the temple. Why don't I get to carry the king? But she didn't. She rejoiced in what God had given her to carry, and she birthed John the Baptist. And she was rejoiced for Mary when Mary came to tell her Mary's good news. Elizabeth rejoiced that Mary was carrying the king. Don't compare what you carry to what somebody else carries. Don't envy somebody else's gift or calling. Don't want to walk in that. God has called you to walk in what you walk in, and there's a reason for that. Do not think that nothing you do can ever change anything. This is something God has told me so clearly, and I've repeated it over and over again. The next Reformation will be led by the nameless and the faceless, the men and women of significance who have lived their lives in true surrender. This move of God, this thing that He's doing across the earth, it's not going to be about people on platforms behind pulpits. It's not going to be about one person. Anyway, it's going to be the men and women on the ground, the ones who have surrendered themselves to God completely, the ones who have laid down their lives for Jesus every which way that they can, who have sacrificed, who have surrendered, who have been tried by fire. They are the ones that are going to be key in this move. And whatever you carry, whatever you walk in, whatever you do, whatever God has called you to, it is essential for His end time plan. You are not insignificant. And as a woman, your voice needs to be heard, particularly in this time, particularly with what we face right now. Women's voices need to be heard. We need to be speaking out, believing women, Jesus-centered women. We need to be speaking out God's words. Female voices need to be heard. Women's voices need to be heard. Whatever it is that God has given you, it is essential for now. You are not insignificant. What you carry is not insignificant. And I promise you that when you step into eternity, you're going to see the significance of what you carried. And you will fully appreciate what it was that God called you to do. Galatians 2 verse 20 says, in the Amplified Bible, I have been crucified with Christ. That is, in Him I have shared His crucifixion. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith, by adhering to, relying on, and completely trusting in the Son of God who loved me and gave Himself up for me. That's what we do. We're crucified with Jesus. That old self is gone. It's no longer us who lives. It is Christ who lives in us. And we live this life by faith, by completely trusting in the Son of God who loved us and gave Himself up for us. He would not have given Himself up for you if you were insignificant. He would not have given himself up for you if the part that you have to play in God's end time plan was not essential. He would not have given himself up for you if what you do or what you say isn't going to change anything. We're in the Hebrew decade of the mouth. Voices, so many voices, are being magnified all around the world, saying the wrong things, saying things that shouldn't be said. We need our voices to be heard. Do you think that it's strange that in when we in the season of the Hebrew word for mouth, that we suddenly have this virus where everyone has to wear a mask? No. Again, it's just the enemy overplaying his hand. Mask or no mask, your voice can be heard. Whatever platform God gives you, whatever person you get to speak to, whatever life you get to touch, know that it is significant. Accept that you might not see the significance of it here on earth, and be okay with that. Know that one day in eternity, you will see it. And you'll be blown away. You'll be blown away by what you brought into this world for God. You'll be blown away by the fact that God entrusted you with something so significant and so essential in his global end time plan. You are essential. You are essential, an essential part, an essential piece in the body. And your circumstances don't define how essential you are. The color of your skin doesn't define how essential you are. The whether you're single, married, children, no children, doesn't define how essential you are. The fact that you are a woman of God and that you were born for this time, right now, in history, defines how essential you are and how significant God saw you as being, because he specifically chose for you to be here now, wherever you are, wherever he's placed you. He specifically chose to put you there. So those are keys number 2 and number 3. So just let's go over them quickly. Key number 1, the enemy always overplays his hand. Key number 2, stand firm. Key number 3, know that you are essential to the end time plan of God. Just with those 3 keys, you should already be able to see what God is trying to unlock for you, with you, in this game-changing season. Because it's also a Kairos season, God will have put things in place, and He will just be waiting for you to step in to what He's called you to step into. Sometimes we wait so long for like a million confirmations from different people. Sometimes, God has told us, and I've done this before. God has told me to do something, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I just want to get confirmation from, And He's very patient with me. Thanks the Lord. But, sometimes the one time he said to me, why is my word not good enough? When I tell you to do something, why is that not enough for you? Why do you need it confirmed by a human being on earth? And I said to him, because I don't want to get it wrong. And then he said to me, Sally, do you not think that I'm big enough to prevent you from getting it wrong? If you are inclining your ear, if you are leaning in, if you're desperately trying to hear me, do you think I'm not big enough to steer you in the right direction? And he is. He is big enough for all of us. So I just speak victory over you today. I just speak an ability to stand firm, victorious over you today. And again, I speak a restoration of identity, that you will know that God will show you as he pours his love out over you, that he will show you how significant you are, that he will show you how essential you are to his end time plan, and that he will just unlock what you carry at this time so that you can be a game changer in this game changing season. And I bless you with that. And I decree and declare the shalom of Jesus over you now as you watch this. And I'll see you next week.